Tired of feeling tired? Done with diet culture? Overwhelmed by conflicting nutrition and fitness messages? Then join us, your hosts of the Nutrition Revolution podcast, as we take a deep dive into all things women's fitness and nutrition. I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Tabitha. And together we are debunking diet culture myths and giving you the tools you need to finally see the results you're looking for. It's time to revolutionize your nutrition and training.
Welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to talk about longevity versus aesthetic goals. Yes. And, what is better?
Really exploring how the reason why we pursue fitness and nutrition, whether it's for aesthetic goals or for your longevity, shapes your mindset, habits, and long-term success, and kind of where your focus is going to be, and then the path moving forward to get you there. And what are some of the differences that you may find and experience when you're like, all right, I have an aesthetics goal, or I'm just in it to win it, this longevity goal. And I want listeners to know that it's not a right or wrong, right, or good or bad. It's a personal preference, and then being realistic of what it will take.
I think
those
that
goals.
Being realistic with it is the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
If you're setting a goal for yourself to be, 6'3" and super jacked, but you're only like 5'8", that's not realistic.
Yeah,
but
that's not realistic.
You have to have, take your genetics into play here, right? Like, my body is not ever probably going to be a 00. Like, that's just not how I'm built, not how it's not part of my genetics. No one in my family looks like that, right? So, there's things that I know are realistic for my body and not realistic for my body. And you have to be super honest with yourself about those things.
Yes. And are you chasing an aesthetic goal at the detriment of your health? Right?
Yeah.
So there is that fine line, and striking that balance between, I want to have my clothing fit better, and I want to be happier with what I see in the mirror. But also I want to have good health.
Yeah.
Right. So figuring out first and foremost, what is the most important thing to you? Is it that long haul mentality, longevity, or do you have an aesthetics goal? Which for some people, if you're going to do fitness competitions, bodybuilding, whatever, like there is an aesthetics piece. But I do think you can strike the balance of both, where like I'm really interested in my health and longevity, and the bonus is, I feel like I look better.
I think that was my big shift for my health in general when we switched to the whole foods diet. And I noticed I just felt better. I was stronger. My autoimmune disease was kind of at bay. Like, it wasn't flaring like it used to. And bonus, I felt better in my clothing, so it wasn't necessarily that I was trying to lose weight at that point, but I felt better and I was healthier. And I was like, oh, this is way better than being on medication and chasing skinny and chasing all of these things. I can move and I can function. And I'm not waking up in pain every day. And I was like, oh, that's actually what I want to do. I want to be healthy.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is you said, though, that your clothing was also fitting better, which means that your body composition was changing favorably. So by chasing your health, you were also seeing some positive progress that you wanted from the aesthetic portion of your goal. Yeah. And I want our listeners to know, it's okay to have an aesthetic goal.
Yeah.
It's okay. We live in a physical world. We all have eyeballs.
Yeah.
And you see things, right? Yeah. And you maybe say, I want, I feel good about my physical appearance when I am X, Y, and Z, when, I have some muscle tone or definition. So aesthetic goals don't have to be just about being a smaller body. It can be about having more muscle mass, to be stronger, to see that tone and definition that you're looking for. That it can be an aesthetic goal as well. And to that point, having muscle is healthier.
Right.
I mean, muscle is the organ of longevity, and it's the driver of your metabolism. So if your aesthetic goal is to build some muscle and have more muscle mass, you are also feeding into longevity goals of health and wellness. So I think the power of your why. There's two things here that, as with my psychology background from my undergrad, I always talk a lot about extrinsic motivation versus your intrinsic motivation. And I do think that sometimes, and some of the clients I've worked with over the years, get really stuck with this extrinsic motivation where it's the external cues that are motivating them to do X, Y, and Z. So your external motivation coming from what do you see in the mirror, what other people say to you about the way that you look, comparison, validation, the things that you see on social media with these Fitspo influencers that look a certain way. And then you're like, okay, well, I want to look that way. And so that's driving that motivation. It doesn't always bode well, though, for long-term results, because then you might find yourself doing really restrictive eating, crash diets, a lot of yo-yoing, which lead to burnout and underfueling and hormone imbalance and this kind of vicious cycle. And then if you're never achieving that aesthetic, then you're stuck,
You're just
like
giving up.
Right, like what's wrong? So is your aesthetic goal realistic and obtainable, and is it at the cost of your longevity goal?
Right. Yeah. If you're fighting for abs and you're restricting your diet to, 1,000 calories a day, can't sleep, body hurts, you're feeling sick all the time, too tired, don't have the energy, you're fighting the wrong goal.
Yeah. And you're to that point, though, you're also not going to reach any kind of an aesthetic goal. Like your body's not going to respond, right? Because the training and all of that is the external stimulus. Your nutrition, your sleep, your rest, recovery, those are all the internal stimuluses that promote and move you forward on the path that you're looking for, or can be the detriment to holding you back. I had a client, I have a client, we've been working together for over 2 years. Now we just work together from purely fitness, strength-based. I train her. But for the better part of a year, we worked on her nutrition. And she's a very tall, she's like 5'10", very strong woman, has a good amount of muscle mass, but she had a body recomposition goal. She wanted to maintain or build some muscle and lose some body fat, and was really focused and driven largely on the aesthetics and just wanted to look a certain way. And, slowly we had to kind of peel back the layers and find out all right, is it possible for you, being very tall, having curves, to achieve this look and to be as skinny as possible at the cost and expense of your bone density and your muscle mass, especially as she is now in the postmenopause season of life. She's into her 50s. We had to take our time working through some of that, and what were the extrinsic motivation of what you see online and all that kind of validation versus at what expense to her health. And she dealt with low energy availability and headaches and generally just feeling really unsatisfied. And over time, working on changing her mindset around food and her goals, she shifted to more of the longevity.
That's good.
But the beautiful thing is, as we worked on that, a little over 2 years later, her body fat percentage has dropped more than 8%.
Of course. Yeah.
She's gained some muscle. She is leaner. I didn't say skinny, leaner than she'd been in years, but she actually eats more than she had in years and has more energy and feels better. But it's been a journey and a process. And so that is where I kind of get that hybrid, aesthetic goal morphed into more of a longevity goal. And then they came together and focused more on that longevity goal and got the aesthetic outcome that she was looking for.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's stories. I mean, that's my story. I mean, I feel like you hear all the time of people well, I eat more now and I look better and I feel better. People are like, no, I don't believe that, until they actually do it. And, you said it took 2 years? You've been working with her for 2 years?
Yeah. I mean, for the nutrition piece, we don't work together on nutrition anymore because she's really developed a great mindset and has food freedom and fuels her body, nourishes her body first and foremost, but we still train together.
Yeah. And I think that knowing that it wasn't a 6-month or a 30-day plan. It was over time. You're constantly growing and changing. And even as someone who does nutrition and fitness, I'm constantly switching things up and trying different things and seeing what my body enjoys better. What's making me sleep better. If I go through a phase where I'm not sleeping, I'll look at my nutrition or my workouts or how I've been functioning throughout that week and be all right, what can I shift? And constantly making little changes because I want to be better when I'm 50 and 60. I saw the Ironman World Championships were this weekend. And so we were watching them and, watching these women put all of their body through all of this stress of training in 140.2 miles. Like, it's crazy. And there was a woman, her name was, I think it was Natalie, I don't remember her last name. Anyway, 80 years old. And she competed in Ironman World Champions and crossed the finish line at 80 years old.
That's awesome. I want to be Madeline.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's one of those things where I look at that and I'm like, my whole life I spent trying to be skinny. And then one day had this eye opener of like, I feel terrible. Like, my body hurts, my joints hurt, eating better, moving better. My body started feeling better, got off medications. And I was like, I want to feel better every year. And I think we believe that lie of like, as you age, you get sicker and you have to go on medications and your body breaks down. But then you see people like this and you're like, what's the difference? And her difference is her mindset never quit. Like, she just kept fighting for that, kept trying to do those things. And she lets her body eat and move and work for her goals. And
she has a longevity goal.
She has a longevity goal.
Yeah,
and she looks fantastic. Like, seeing her, I'm like, wow, like, she looks amazing.
Well, I think that's a good example too of when chasing longevity progresses, or progress becomes less about the mirror and more about other metrics and data like better sleep, more stable energy, strong bones and muscles, mental clarity, emotional balance, improved biomarkers too, like focusing more on what's your lipid panel, lipid profile look like, your blood work coming back, your A1C level, like those things are going to be part of your longevity chasers. Because I do think that even if you have an aesthetic goal, and again, okay, if you do, be careful, because the chasing aesthetics, healthy may never be enough for you, right? Like, just being healthy can easily become never enough. And I think when you chase aesthetics solely, like to your point where you've said about your struggles with always chasing skinny, I mean, how many years did you chase that?
Yeah.
And was there ever a size or a number where you would have felt skinny enough? No. Right. So there's a lot of other issues there to unpack, but that is, I think, the slippery slope when we just chase aesthetics.
Yeah.
And I think
you're never going to be big enough. You're never going to be small enough. You're never going to
muscles won't look right enough. Like, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So shifting that narrative and that mindset to more of that intrinsic, the internal motivation of, I want to choose to eat nutrient-dense foods, choose to exercise and move my body so that I can be Madeline at 80 and successfully complete an Ironman triathlon. What'd you say it was?
Yeah, Ironman.
Successfully and do that at that age. And even if you're like, okay, I'm never going to do that, but at least be the 80-year-old that can go get their own groceries and bring them into the house, walk without risk of falling, all those things.
My clients who have the best success are always the ones who come to me and say, I don't necessarily like how I look as far as their weight or whatever, but my goal is I want to be able to chase my grandkids around when I'm 80. I want to be able to pick them up. I want to be able to go to their events. I want to be able to travel and do all of these things. And they're the ones who really kind of take everything you say and apply it. And they do the movements and they work their bodies and they eat the food. And they're the ones who I'm seeing have the best success, because their goal isn't necessarily about them. It's about what they're contributing or what they want to be when they're older. And they're seeing their parents falling apart because they didn't do those things. And they're like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to live in a home when I'm 80. I want to be, traveling when I'm 80 and independent. And I don't want someone to have to take care of me. And honestly, that starts in your 30s and 40s.
It starts now, yeah. I mean, it is about them, but it's not about the way they look.
Right.
It's about how they function and how they live. And I think that is the perfect example of blending the two, right? Where you find your balance, where it's okay to want to look good, but you're anchoring that in feeling good and functioning well and having better health, positive health outcomes throughout your lifespan versus just
right now
being able to say, I wear this size jean, or I can compete in this competition. So redefining your aesthetics as a byproduct of healthy living, not the goal, right? So not how do I look, how do I live? And then you find balance in the two. You find that they complement each other. So when you work and focus on living better, you are over time going to also look better.
Right.
Clearer skin, stronger hair and nails. You're going to have a improved body composition that is going to be what fits your genetics, like the way the muscle forms around the bone. What, some women have hips and are bustier, nothing you can do about that. So working with it, making sure that you have a healthy, strong body for life versus just looking a certain way that can come at a great cost.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Wanting to be as thin as possible, have as low of a number on the scale as possible. Does that mean that you're not getting the nutrients that you need to have dense bones? And then you are at a greater risk of falling and having a fracture versus falling, but being able to get back up.
Right.
Because your muscles and your bones are strong and you can shake it off and keep rolling.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to, land you in rehab.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I think that one of the things that you can ask yourself, a few of the things, right? If we want to do some takeaways and reflection for listeners is, if my why didn't involve a mirror, what would it be? Would I still be doing this routine 10 years from now? And what does healthy look and feel like for me? Not what social media tells me.
That's a good one.
So asking yourself those to figure out what is your biggest why. And knowing that if you're chasing the intrinsic, so you're chasing longevity, the external, the aesthetics, that will follow.
It will follow.
Just won't be extreme.
Yeah, and you won't give
Take
up
as
on
long.
it because, I feel like we give up on it if it's that extrinsic, if it's not working right away.
Yeah.
So
If it usually tends to be really extreme.
Yeah.
And not sustainable for your everyday life, right? So you can't always control how your body looks every day, but you can control how it feels and how it functions. And shifting to living well, focusing on that longevity, your entire health journey becomes lighter, freer, and more fulfilling. And I think that's where we find freedom.
yeah.
In nutrition, freedom in movement, and real joy in all that our bodies are capable of, versus I just need to look this certain way and then I'll be happy. I think that people that have maybe achieved that might reflect and realize, oh, I'm actually not quite as happy as I thought.
Yeah.
Anyways, be interested to hear our listeners' thoughts on that and what their goals are, chasing the aesthetic or chasing that longevity. I will weigh in and say, officially, I chase longevity. I'm more worried about function and health and my performance than I am about looking a specific way.
Yeah. Same.
The end.
Yeah. Same. I'm always get up off the ground without my hands.
Yes.
And walk backwards because those are what we lose so quick. So, yeah. All right. Sounds good, guys.
Thanks for spending your time with us. If you found this podcast helpful, we would love for you to share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform. If you have nutrition or fitness questions you want answered on future episodes, we would love to hear from you. You can submit these questions to our email, thenutritionrevolutionpodcast@gmail.com, and follow us on Instagram @thenutritionrevolutionpodcast.